You ever stand in your own driveway, barefoot, cup of lemonade sweating in your hand, just soaking in the evening when suddenly your life turns into an episode of Cops? That's how it started for me. Flashing red and blue lights slicing through the dusk, two cops walking up like I was about to be read my rights. One asked, "Sir, did you lock someone inside your property?" I actually laughed, thinking he was joking. "No, I just locked my own gate," I said. But he wasn't laughing. And neither was Ethan, the teenage son of our neighborhood's self-appointed tyrant Karen Reynolds, standing there with his arms folded like he was auditioning for Judge Judy. And behind him, oh, you couldn't miss her, there was Karen, HOA president, phone in hand, eyes gleaming like she'd just found someone to ruin. Apparently, Ethan had called 911 because I locked my own gate. Let that sink in. This was more than a spat about tall grass or mailbox paint. This was the moment the neighborhood officially lost its mind and I was front and center. The officer asked, "Can we see proof of ownership, sir?" And it hit me this was about to become a battle royale. But before you can understand how I wound up in the middle of an HOA civil war, I've got to rewind back to when I thought Cedar Ridge Lane was going to be my peaceful forever home. 6 months ago, I bought this little 2-story place with a white picket fence, a pond out front, and birds that actually chirped. I loved it. I mean, it wasn't fancy, but it was mine. I was still unpacking when Karen first showed up, clipboard in hand, blue suit, like she'd just come from a bad law firm commercial, and that smile that never reached her eyes. "Hi, I'm Karen, the HOA president. I like to meet all our new residents personally to make sure everyone understands the rules." Right there, my first red flag. I told her I wasn't even sure my place belonged to the HOA. The realtor said the boundaries had changed years ago. She just waved it off. "Oh, that must be a mistake. Here's your welcome packet and your monthly dues form." Monthly dues for an HOA I wasn't even in. That was Karen for you. Didn't matter what was true, only what she believed. The first few weeks, things seemed peaceful. I fixed up the fence, painted the porch, rescued a stray mutt named Bruno. Everything felt right. But it didn't last. Little things started, notes on my door, grass too long, HOA violation, a pink slip for unauthorized fence modification, photos of my yard with red circles drawn around imaginary problems. You know who taped them up. Every time I saw Karen, she gave that polite smile, but her eyes, man, it was like she thought she owned the air I breathed. Then there was Ethan's 16 skateboard phone out, recording everything. He called himself the HOA enforcer. One night I caught him filming me while I fixed the front gate. "Hey, can you stop recording?" I said. "Mom says we have to document violations. Your gate's not HOA approved." I tried to laugh it off, but it got under my skin. That's when I decided to put a heavy-duty lock on the gate just to keep out whatever or whoever kept sneaking around. I never thought locking my own gate would bring cops to my doorstep. The day it all blew up was just a Saturday, grilling in the backyard, Bruno at my feet, kids biking up and down the street. I saw Ethan and his friends laughing by the gate, didn't think much of it. But later the lock was messed with. I fixed it, put up a private property do not enter sign. That should have ended it. But as the sun set, I heard shouting. Ethan was climbing my fence. "Get down," I yelled. "My ball went over." He lied. "There's no ball in my yard," I said. "And you can't just hop my fence." He rolled his eyes. "You're not even supposed to lock it. Mom says it's for neighborhood access. Kid, this is my property. Your mom doesn't decide who comes in." He stormed off, phone out, and 10 minutes later, here come the police. Karen marched right behind them, shouting about blocking community access and illegally detaining public space. I tried to explain that the deed showed my house wasn't even HOA controlled, but Karen wasn't hearing any of it. The officer asked for proof. That's when I realized Karen was about to learn the hard way what real boundaries looked like. I brought out the folder deed title property map. The officers looked them over while Karen fumed. "Ma'am, this property isn't listed under your association." Karen just blinked like the words didn't compute. "That map's outdated." The HOA expanded. "We have jurisdiction." "No, ma'am," the officer said, flipping the page. "This boundary, here he's not included." For a second I thought she'd just walk away. But this was Karen. She doubled down. That's an old map. We'll see what the lawyer says. The officer handed back my papers. He can lock his gate. You can file a civil complaint if you want. Karen forced a smile that looked ready to shatter. This neighborhood doesn't need rebels, she hissed. Ethan chimed in. See, Mom? He's hiding something. I couldn't help but grin. Yeah, Ethan. I'm hiding the fact I mow my own grass and mind my business. The officers tried not to laugh as they left. Karen just glared. This isn't over. You can't isolate yourself from this community, she warned before stomping off. I thought that was the end. Silly me. The next morning, there's a fat envelope taped to my mailbox, HOA violations over $600 in fines. Fines for an association I wasn't even in. I almost called the number but stopped myself. Karen thrived on reactions. Instead, I took a stroll down to the zoning office. Patty, the clerk, took one look at the map and smiled. You're not HOA. Hasn't been for years. She printed out a certified confirmation. I was on cloud 9 until I got home and found Karen flanked by 2 board members waiting by my driveway. You can't just ignore official HOA correspondence, she said. I verified, I'm not under your HOA, I replied. We'll be reviewing your case at the next meeting. In the meantime, remove your gate lock. It's a safety concern. Ethan piped in, camera rolling. Mom says it's illegal to trap people. I looked straight at him. Then stay off my property. No one gets trapped if they don't trespass. Karen lost it, accusing me of harassing minors. I almost laughed at the absurdity. If wanting peace makes me the bad guy, then so be it. I shrugged. Then you'll have no problem facing the consequences, she snapped, and off she went. That night I sat on the porch, Bruno by my side, the air thick with tension. Someone was out at my gate with a crowbar, Karen herself, with Ethan recording. I stepped outside and she froze. Oh, Mr. Davis, I was just checking your gate. It looked damaged. Yeah, by you. I pointed at the crowbar. You were damaging it. Ethan stammered. We heard noises. Mom thought someone was trapped. I let out a bitter laugh. You need to stop before this gets worse. Karen just smirked. If that's true, you won't mind us taking pictures. Take one more and I'll call the cops myself. They backed off, but as they left, Karen hissed, You'll regret making enemies. Next day I called the sheriff. He suggested cameras, so I set them up. 2 nights later, I caught Ethan on video, alone, unscrewing my gate. I took the footage straight to Karen. She shrugged. Kids make mistakes. I handed the video to the deputy. At least now it was on record. But Friday night, my gate was wide open. Someone had removed the lock plate and nailed up a fake community access path sign signed, by order of Cedar Ridge, HOA. I tore it down, but neighbors were watching, whispering, recording like I was the criminal. That night I watched the cameras for hours. Near midnight, Karen and 3 board members showed up, flashlights and tape measures out, inspecting my property. At midnight, I turned on every light I had. You're trespassing, I shouted. Routine HOA inspection, Karen answered, clipboard clutched like a shield. The board voted to include all surrounding properties. You can't vote to steal land, I barked. Mr. Graham, the treasurer, actually looked embarrassed. Maybe we should come back in the morning, Karen. But she was on a mission. I reminded her everything was on camera. You sure you want that on record? The group slunk away, but Ethan yelled, You'll regret this, dude, as they drove off. The next morning, back to the county for more official paperwork. Patty stamped it. Show this to the sheriff if they bother you again. I came home to find Bruno whimpering, caught in a wire snare by the fence. Someone had set a trap, and there in the mud a small shoe print, Ethan's. That was it. Back to the sheriff. This time the supervisor said, This isn't just trespassing. This is malicious intent. We'll pay them a visit. That night, a patrol car stopped at Karen's house. Ethan came out head down, got a warning. For a moment, I felt sorry for the kid. But that night, Karen smashed my gate in, screaming, "You think you can humiliate my family? You have no idea who you're dealing with." I called the cops, handed over the footage. The next morning, a handwritten note from Ethan. "I'm sorry. Please don't press charges. My mom's not herself. I decided to give him that much." Walked to Karen's house. She looked tired, drained. "This stops now. No more trespassing, no more harassment." For a second, she almost agreed. Then the mask came back. "You don't understand how this works. People like you ruin everything." I left her words trailing after me like smoke. But it wasn't over. That night, a black car pulled up at her place, 2 men in suits, lawyers for Cedar Ridge Legal Affairs. Next morning, a cease and desist email. They wanted my cameras down, the gate open, $900 in dues. Attached was Karen's hand-drawn map moving the boundary line onto my property. I went straight to the assessor's office. "No change since 1998, Patty said. "You should get a lawyer." I called Clara Jennings. She said, "Let me handle it. This is HOA overreach." But then Karen hired a fake security patrol. Some guy in a knockoff uniform claimed he was checking the area. I sent him packing, called Clara. She filed an injunction. A few days later, my mailbox filled with neighbor letters. Some supportive, most not. One warned, "You've made powerful enemies. Move before things get worse." The next morning, my yard was spray-painted, "Perpetrator, Rule Breaker, Move Out." The cameras caught Karen, Ethan, and a third man, a heavy-set guy with a snake and hammer tattoo, at 2:47 a.m. I showed Clara. "That's not a neighbor. He's enforcement muscle some HOAs hire. Most have criminal records. Don't confront them." That night, Karen and Ethan showed up, tried to deny everything. But Ethan cracked, blurted out an apology, before Karen dragged him away. The next night, the sheriff's office raided the HOA office, found fake maps, fake invoices, proof Karen paid that security guy for intimidation. Karen vanished, but Ethan slipped me a note. "She's planning something tonight. Get out." I called Clara, packed up Bruno, and slipped out the back. Caught the scent of gasoline Karen in her driveway, flicking a lighter ready to torch my property. We stopped the fire barely with help from neighbors and hoses. Deputies came. Karen was gone, but Ethan told them everything. Next morning, the HOA was dissolved, the county took over, and Karen, facing charges, was ordered into psychiatric treatment with a restraining order to keep her far from me. The neighborhood got quieter. I rebuilt the fence, painted over scars, planted new grass. People who once ignored me now smiled, even apologized. Ethan brought biscuits, said his mom was getting help. I told him, "You're not her. Do better." Some nights when the wind blows right, I think I hear Karen's voice, bitter, broken, echoing from somewhere far away. "You'll regret this, Davis." And every time I just smile and whisper back, "Not anymore." So tell me this, folks. If you'd been in my shoes, would you have fought or just moved on? Ever dealt with a neighbor like Karen? Drop your story in the comments, and let's talk about what justice really looks like in a place that's supposed to be home. And if you ever need a reminder, sometimes the fight is worth it just to keep a little peace.